FNAF 4 is the scariest game in the whole Five Nights at Freddy's franchise. This game always freaked me out when I was younger, and still does to this day. The bedroom environment, along with the perfectly made atmosphere, easily makes it an experience that is sure to fill you with terror whenever you play it. Recording gameplay for this video was in the best way possible, utterly horrible, because I am truly shook to the core by this game. Along with that, I also suck at it, so that resulted in me dying countless times, causing me to jump every single time. So today, we are going to be talking about how Scott Cawthon managed to create a game that instills pure terror into the player so effectively in the fourth and what was supposed to be final entry to the FNAF franchise. To start off with, the environment of FNAF 4 is completely different from the previous entries. The first 3 games took part in company buildings, whether it be a pizzeria like in FNAF 1 and 2, or a horror attraction in the case of FNAF 3. They were effective in their own ways at creating tension, but there's always the feeling like your character is just kind of dumb for coming back to this place every single night to have to fight off these vengeful animatronics when you could instead just never return and go on about your life. That is, unless you want to go into the theory of all the games just being a dream, in which case it makes sense, but I'm not really here to debate FNAF lore, as my brain is not big enough for that, and I don't want this video to be over an hour long. Whereas in FNAF 4, you are well and truly out of the control in this situation. You are being hunted down in your own dark bedroom by these nightmare animatronics. There is no choice behind it, and you are being targeted and have to fight for your life to avoid your demise. This environment is 100 times creepier to me over the Freddy's locations, as although they are also effective in their own way, particularly FNAF 1 in creating these unsettling environments, FNAF 4 just does this to a whole nother level. In the gameplay of FNAF 4, you have the ability to run to your doors on your left and right, a closet in front of you, and look behind you to check your bed. Now we have a very basic idea of the lay of the land in FNAF 4, let's talk about how this is built upon with amazing ambience. In Nights, there is actually quite a lot going on in terms of what you can hear. There's this low droning ambience that plays throughout your nights, which is accompanied by all sorts of other sounds, such as crickets, dogs barking, clock chimes, phone calls, and even animatronic footsteps. There is a lot of sounds that you're going to be hearing throughout your nights. These sounds really do immerse you in the bedroom and make it seem more real, as you can actually hear sounds from outside, such as crickets and dogs barking, making it feel even more real, which just makes it so much scarier. This by itself is atmosphere done amazingly well by Scott, but the part where this ambience becomes even more terrifying is when you take into account that the whole method in which you use to survive is entirely dependent on sound cues. So basically, every time you look out a door, you have the option to either close the door or to shine your light. Something that this game does that adds so much to the whole scare factor of it is the fact that shining your light is now something that can and will lead to your death if done recklessly. This is completely different to the first 2 FNAF games, where using the lights is always done for safety and has no real risk behind doing it whatsoever. It is what you use to make sure you are safe from any threats that may be lurking outside your office. But in FNAF 4, the light always being able to be used for safety is completely thrown out the window, and makes you as the player fear instances where you will need to use it, and it makes you anxious of your every move. When you go to the doorway, you stare into complete darkness and have to entirely focus on audio to see whether you can hear any breathing or not. If there is breathing, you must close the door immediately and only open it when they have left. Shining your light whilst there is an animatronic at the door leads to immediate death. What makes this so terrifying is how loud you need to have your audio to be able to hear everything properly, because the breathing isn't always immediately obvious, and along with that, the ambience as it is makes it very difficult to hear this and requires some extreme concentration. So I think you start to understand how this is so scary. Immersive environment with amazing ambience, high volume needed to play, extreme concentration whenever you're at a door. This all adds up and makes the jump scares hit even harder when you make the mistake of shining your light when you shouldn't have. You become so anxious of using your light, as you know one mistake is all it takes from getting jump scared into another dimension. To really understand how tense this game really makes you feel, I'm going to show you some raw gameplay of the true feel of this game and how it makes you fear making any mistakes. So I hope that was able to show you the true terror of this game in action. Something else I want to mention is that not all jump scares in the gameplay segment actually lead to death, and some are done strictly just to scare the life out of you, because why not? So when Foxy gets into your closet, he does that jump scare thing, and even if you see the closet door moving, which signifies that he's in there, that jump scare still makes me jump out of my skin, and I think my soul momentarily leaves my body, and I begin to see pretty white lights. But you don't actually die when this happens, and I'm reminded that if I do not deal with Foxy quickly, I will soon be getting properly jump scared, so I then return to my body and try my best to survive, which, as I mentioned at the start of the video, is quite the task for me, because I admittedly suck at this game and die constantly. Whereas in some FNAF games, and horror games in general, you might get used to the jump scares eventually and it won't make you jump anymore. FNAF 4, at least for me, is absolutely not like this at all, and I will proceed to jump out of my chair every time I die without fail. Such as when I died for the first time when recording gameplay, which I actually do have footage of, so you will be seeing it. I was, just running around to the doors. I was actually taking my sweet time, which I didn't realise was going to lead to my death. So I was running around from door to door, taking, I don't know, maybe like 10-15 seconds per each door to make sure there was no breathing, and then shining my light. And I died to Carl the Cupcake. Yes, my first death in this game was to a cupcake, and that cupcake jump scare literally made my soul leave my body, as I mentioned before. So yeah, that was interesting, and I don't know how I died, to be honest. Like, I don't understand the mechanics for this game fully yet, but I want to beat it one day, and I hope it will be done soon, so I can finally move past this terrifying game and say that I finally beat it. Something that I do really love about FNAF 4 is the way that from the very start of the night, the whole atmosphere just makes you feel so tense and question every action you make. You feel like you are doomed from the first second of the night, but just have no idea when you're going to meet your demise. And when you do, you better be ready for your eardrums to be annihilated into the flip side. Wait, the flip side? God, I haven't mentioned that since my FNAF World video. What a random thing to say, am I right? FNAF 4 creates true terror, and you really feel this as the player. This game is and will remain the scariest FNAF game in the franchise for a long time to come, I think. A true horror classic. Well, that's all from me today then. Have a good day, evening or night, wherever you are, and I'll see you in the next one.